All right, maybe that will fix it. If it doesn't, I don't know. All right, so containerd is managed by toml files. That's what I was saying when I last finished, and I said that I like toml files, but I really think that that's because cargo, and not toml itself. So let's. Okay, so there's this config.toml. Let's look at that. Vim. What did I name it? I named it something. Containerd config toml. All right. So in here we need to not do anything really. This is all set up. This is just setting a few small little things for the CRI, the containerd, and really I don't think that you should have to change this. Let's hope not. I think it's right. All right. So we can then move this file to where it needs to be. We'll move it to, and we'll actually rename it. So we're going to move that to Etsy, where everything is stored. Instead of Etsy, we should call it everything. Just label it appropriately. Oh, I need to run this, or else the directory won't be there. All right, and now we can move the file out there. And we'll move it to Etsy containerd config.toml. All right. So now we can create its service, and this is where we're going to configure some stuff, although really we're not, it's a pretty standard. I already have the service file written. It's right here. So let's look at it. This is just really basic service file. And there was nothing that needed to be changed from the Kubernetes the Hard way for KPM, so you can just use that. All right. How has the stream been looking now? Been looking better? Ah. I apologize for that. So I usually, what I do is I stream to Twitch, but I actually stream to another service that streams it to Twitch and then archives it on YouTube for me, which is really convenient. I'm guessing the connection between them and Twitch is bad because YouTube was getting it fine. Whatever they were doing, they were encoding it wrong for Twitch. Anyways, continuing on. All right, so we have this containerd file. We need to actually make it a service file. So wait, let's look at it. I didn't look over. We don't need to change anything, do we? No. Okay. So yeah, it's just starting containerd, restarting it. All right, so I debated about actually copying these all over as well because it's just a bunch of I don't know. I plan on doing this again in the fall with Kubernetes 1.18. And I think I'm going to have a lot of this stuff copied and just hit the highlights instead of mindlessly copying files and making people watch me copy files. And I can't talk and think about talking to you guys while typing. And I forgot. Okay. So we will need to reload the system control, but we're not starting it yet. This container, we can move on to configuring the kubelet. The kubelet itself is going to need some certificates. So I have those copied over here. We can see that we have this is the worker kube config and the worker certs. You can also see that the CA PEM is here. So we just need to put them in the right folders for them. So let's do that. Actually, let's make sure that the folder exists. It does. Okay, so we need to put them in there. So again, this is where I kind of felt like some of this was helpful because it's like where all of these things standard exist. So if you go into most Kubernetes nodes, this is where they're going to be. But at the same time, it's a little boring. So we're going to do move. Actually, I'm just going to copy. That way the original is always there, just in case we have to do tweaks. Keep him to... we need to copy that to var lib kubelet. We also need to copy the PEM. And we're going to then copy this. We called it the 0.kubeconfig. All right, so this is our kubeconfig file for the zero worker. This is probably my best YouTube video that I've made so far. I explained the kubeconfig files. I'm not very good at any YouTube ones, but this one is probably my best. And it explains the kubeconfig files that we created a while ago a little bit better than when I was streaming it. So I would check that one out if you don't check out any of the other ones. Some of them are a catastrophe. All right, and then we'll put this in var lib kubelet, but it will just be called the kubeconfig. And this is a little bit different than when it's in your path for kubectl. If you're looking for kubectl, it is here. And not kubeconfig. I don't know why they shortened it to just config. I guess because it's under .kube, so I thought it would be redundant. But anyways, yes. All right, and then we'll move the CA. Yep. All right, so, and now we have the CA PEM in the right place. We can go ahead and create the kubelet configuration file. And by go ahead and create it, we can look at the one I already created. So this would be this one right here. And by created, I mean I copied and pasted. I'm really good at copying and pasting, so let's. This we need to update with the pod CIDR that we selected, which is not that. Which one did we pick? We picked, I'm going to do it off of memory, 192.168.2.0/24. I'm like pretty sure this is it. All right, the cluster DNS will not be this. So this should be whichever. Actually, this is a good point. What should our cluster DNS? I'm pretty sure that I need to point these to our standard DNS because they have all the DNS routing for it. So this would be 192.168.1. I'm not sure. I don't think that this is correct. This is my DNS, and it will route to all the nodes. But we need it to be looking at core DNS for the resolve conf. Let's leave this what it originally was, because this is inside of our. I don't know that this is right, but I don't think our main DNS is actually the right answer to this. Not sure. No, I did not. All right. So I'm a Windows developer. I love my backslashes. You got to forgive me on those. I'm a little worried about the cluster DNS. Let's note this as a point of possible failure, and we'll come back to it when it fails. All right, let's move on to the kubelet service file. We should actually move this file to the right place. So the kubelet picks it up, and that would be var lib kubelet config.yaml, and we need to give it the kubelet. No. All right. And now we can look at the kubelet service file. So it's also right here. We did not need sudo, but it's probably fine. I shouldn't write it with sudo or else it's going to be owned by it. Anyways, again, a pretty standard one. You'll notice that in here we're giving it the config file that we just gave it. So really this could have been in any path. I think this is a pretty standard path. You're giving it where the the socket is. So if you were running with cryo, like I'm pretty sure we're going to do cryo for our second worker next week. I think, especially if we get this one working, we'll do cryo so we can see the difference in setup. But this is where you're giving it the socket. This is the just some configuration. This is the cube config. So this is how you'll notice that in here we didn't give it a certificate. And the reason we didn't give it a certificate is that we gave it a way to communicate to Kubernetes via the kube config, which in our kube config we have certificate information. And then we have the network plugin we're using is the CNI. We made a config file for that. And yeah, so other than that, there's no other special setting in here. It's pretty straightforward. We need to write this to systemd system. Kubelet service. All right. So now that we have that, we need to configure kube proxy. Let me. The kube proxy. Let's look here. Kube proxy. We have our kube proxy config YAML. Let's open that bad boy up. All right. So this is our cluster CIDR. I think this is correct. We can actually open up. Let's go ahead and open up our configuration in the control plane just to make sure it matches with what we did there. So this is always good. All right, and now that we have that, this is on our control plane. I honestly don't remember which one it is. It's not the API server. Maybe it's the kubelet. Which one of these? Maybe the kube scheduler. We had to define that in one of these, I think. And I don't remember off the top of my head which one. Maybe it's the controller manager. I'm pretty sure it's not the API server, but watch it be the API servers. All right, there we go. It is 10.32.24. This is the service cluster IP range. Oh, here's there it is. 10.216. Perfect. All right. And that is what we had over here, right? Look at that. It matches up. So this is probably not going to be our problem. I'm just logging a list of things that are probably going to be our problem and what is probably not going to be. And let me remind you, this is why we have tools to set Kubernetes up. It's a little bit of an involved process. CP. We want to move the kube proxy config to var kube proxy and the other thing that we need to do is, one second. Yeah, we gave the kube proxy config its kube config, so we need to copy that to there, or else it won't be able to communicate. Kube. What is that file? Kube proxy kube config. All right. And it's just called kube config, so we'll just remove the kube proxy. That was a way to keep track of it. Sudo cp kube proxy kube config, and we're going to move that to var lib kube prox. Oh, I put bar lib. That's what I need right now, a bar. Kube config. All right. And now we need to create the kube proxy system service, which is in kube proxy service. Kube proxy service. This is, again, its configuration file. The configuration file points it to the kube config file, which is why this doesn't need any certs or anything, because the kube config file has it. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. That's actually a beautiful. Yep. So if you did want to change, how it logged in or any of those settings, you would go in and change it here instead of in the system file. And that gets moved to var lib. No. Sorry, I was just. There we go. And now we can do the daemon reload. Of system D. Because we put a couple services in there, so we need to reload the daemon, or else it will complain at us. We need to enable three things. The container D, that's our container runtime, which doesn't have to be container D. We'll need to enable our kubelet and our kube proxy. Those are the three things you're going to need to enable. And we need to update our container D. I'm glad it gave us an invalid argument. Which one's the invalid one? Oh no, I did that again. Okay. I needed a sip of coffee. What joke did I make about needing a bar right now? All right. It doesn't need the init file. Was that it? I'm a dum-dum. All right, let's... This should be fine, right? No, it shouldn't be double slash. It should be single slash. Okay. Kube proxy and kubelet. Oh, look at all those beautiful double slashes. It warms my heart. All right, so now we can reload the daemon. I guess I missed it. This true story, right now, I did it the other way because I was like, I always do it the wrong way first. And so I typed it what I thought was backwards, which was actually backwards. And anyways, I hate the word. English is hard. All right, so now we should be able to do this command right here. Ooh. Remember, kids, don't use double backslash. It's never good. Okay, and then we can start this. All right, so we should be able to see these as nodes in using kubectl. Kubectl will not work from right here. Anybody know why? Okay, if you see this, this is a perfect warning to say that you don't have this file. And so like this is easy because it's trying to hit the server at localhost, which obviously this is not a control plane node, so it can't access it from there. So anyways, sorry. If you ever see this, probably just means you don't have it configured. I'm going to really quickly before, actually we already are on a control plane here, so. Let me. Do we not have kubelet in the path on the control plane nodes? I kind of thought we were using it. Oh, I typed kubelet. Yes, I did. All right. That is not reassuring. All right. So I would have expected oh, okay. Interesting. Check it out. So this is going to our load balancer, which should be fine, and is interesting returning that node W0 is not found. So it can't join the cluster. Which means we configured our control plane wrong. All right, that means back to the drawing board. Let's see how we can do this. This is good though. It does mean that it hit our it's hitting our control planes. So a lot of things are configured correctly. So our kube config file is working. Our our communication is working. I did notice that when we made these, we actually use the IP address of the load balancer and not the fully qualified domain name. I usually use the fully qualified domain name. But anyways, this is actually better than I thought it was going to be. And it's pretty cool. We just need to now figure out how to add worker 0 to... I'm afraid I might have named it just 0. Let's see if we can look through our files here. Vim. Really, this should be uploaded in a config. So here we have the etcd servers, our certs. I'm trying to, it's like a cluster config, which actually is uploaded into the cluster, which is something that's stored in etcd. So I feel like we missed a step here. But I also don't know if this isn't just some nicety that most of the wrappers give, so. All right, not there. So in my recollection of what we've done, I don't remember ever giving it a worker node, like a list of worker nodes and their names. So that's kind of what I was trying to think back through. And these are the, let's see, API server. Okay, I'm about to Google it. I should have probably started Googling it anyways. Whoops. Let's look through the Kubernetes config, but I feel like it should be in etcd. Wait, one second. Etcd Kubernetes config, yeah. We did upload one thing. One second. Let me. All right, so this is just the cube config. Let me pull up these. Let's go here and look through the instructions. Configure container D, configure the kubelet. This is all on the worker node. All right. There was nothing there that I saw. So when we were creating, provisioning the CA and generating TLS certificates, maybe in the configuration files. So when we created, let's see, kube proxy, these are the worker node ones, which this is how it would log in with an instance. I'm wondering if you Kube controller manager, did we give it the worker node instances in here? I still feel like this should be in etcd though, not in. This is the admin node. It wouldn't be those. I know their IP addresses needed to be in here, but this isn't where it would look for. This is just how it would validate who you are. Okay, I'm gonna actually have to look this up. Do we have to do this? I feel like I should know this. If anyone has any ideas, please shout out now. Okay. Well, so it's right now is node not found, but I just found here self-registration of nodes. When the kubelet flag registered node is true, the default, the kubelet will attempt to register itself with the API server. Okay. Okay, the DNS would be good. I don't know that this is the problem right here because we actually hard coded the IP address of the load balancer. So it actually is getting this from. This is a return from the API server. It's actually getting a response. I'm not discounting the idea of the DNS issue though, because we do have a DNS issue for sure. I think the DNS issue is going to actually rear its head when we're running pods inside of the kubelet, because that's the DNS for the pods in the kubelet specifically. So until then, I'm not sure that that's going to be our problem. So when the kubelet flag is set to registered node, the default Okay, so, and this is probably why there is nothing in the documentation, because it should self-register. We have the kube config to authenticate itself to the API server. Did we accidentally do a cloud provider? Let's look over our config. They're all right here, so we can just look at them here, and we can go over and edit them in the real system file if we need to. That looks right. Right? Cloud provider. We don't have cloud provider. We have kube config. We do not have kube config. We can go ahead and pass it. It says it's the default. So our kube config is here. That's good. We'll look at our kube config in a second and make sure it doesn't have anything funky. But registered node is not there, but it said it's the default. But you know what? We are on 117 documentation, so this is bad. We are running 115 self-registering node. 1 second. Why when it changes? Okay, so we need to copy this. Switch. Yeah, that's what I'm. It might not exist is the problem. I'm going to try to hack the URL. Self-registering nodes. All right. This is somebody needs to contribute to open source, and when you click this, it stays on the same page if it exists. That would be nice. Somebody should do that. All right. Self-registration node is true. Okay. It's still the default, even now. I'm going to throw this in there just to... Oh, guys. What are these? What are these? Don't laugh at me, okay? I know some of you are laughing out loud and not out loud. I really like my double backslash. Yeah. I need a Vim to remove my backslashes. All right. I hate you guys. We can also go ahead and throw in registered node, right? I don't trust it. All right, and now we can go ahead and... All right, so this is a different error, which is good. Let's see what still doesn't find any resources. Not perfect. We'll have to look at log. I feel like this should wrap. Is there a way to get systemctl to wrap instead of doing this dumb stuff, or do I just have to use journalctl? Can I? Oh, look at that. I can push right arrow. All the cool kids pipe to less. Ooh. Less wraps? Okay, I might just need to pipe to less. So it says server gave HTTP response to HTTPS client. Oh, wait. It's now saying no W is not found. Oh. 1 second. Let's do journalctl and get actually a long list. I don't think that this was actually helpful. Oh, wait. That might have been helpful. Let's look. That's weird. Okay, so it is trying to write to the server. What we're going to do is restart and then watch journal CTL. So for a while it gives different error. All right. This is interesting. So I'm wondering if our load balancer is a little misconfigured. HTTP response to HTTP. Oh, okay. 1 second. This might actually be a problem. Our load balancer. Let's SSH to our load balancer. So in our original load balancer, 1 second, that LB 0 dot. What's the file? Autocomplete won't work for me. Brilliant. All right, so originally we used it to. Why would this be giving a HTTP response to a HTTPS request? Do I need to tell HA proxy to respond to these properly? To respond with. I don't know. I'm a terrible Googler. It's like the one thing that I think I need to put it on my goals for the year for like my getting better at your job. Learn to Google better. Can we just put mode HTTPS? I'm gonna try that. Sorry, I'm not a... I don't know that I did sudo, did I? Oh, I did sudo. Look at that. All right, let's try to do mode HTTPS. Did not like that. Start request repeated too quickly. Thank you for your help, HA Proxy. But seriously. That was so much more helpful. All right, so is it, let's remove our edit and see if it works. I hate HA Proxy. One second, let's... Okay, so they're using mode only when it's in front end, back end, and we're doing listen, which is like a... Right, the certificate should be passed with it. Ooh. HA Proxy SSL on different port. Because it's like because it's not on, 44.3 that it's like, did I give it an HTTPS? I don't know. I didn't give these HTTPS. Would that fix it? Where do I tell it that these are... One second. Oh, please don't make me regex this. Please, for the love of... That doesn't look helpful. All right. I am going to continue digging in to this because I don't know that this is necessarily my problem. It's an interesting issue that looks to be at least part of the problem. I've not seen this. It responded with a different... I've never seen this. Server gave... Ooh, actually, 1 second. Let me search this. Their fix is to use an insecure registry. I don't want to do that. Yeah, they're talking about just changing it to HTTP. That's not right. And I'm not trying to change the request. I'm not trying to go from an HTTP request to an HTTPS. I'm just trying to keep it as an HTTPS request. Is that the solution? Let's try this. Let's try. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong file. I'm super in the wrong file. I'm on the worker, and I meant to be on the load balancer. Okay. Sorry. All right, so we're going to try this. I'm wondering if mode is in the front end back end. Listen does the two front end back end, and maybe we just need to break it out into front end back end, but so I just made the mode TCP. Oops. I don't know that placement matters at all, but hey, it didn't die on us at least. Improvement. All right, let's restart the kubelet. Oh crap! Did I? I probably did right quit. At least I can spell it correctly if it's printed on screen for me. You know, I can't help but get just a little angry when it's such small problems. You know, I like that maybe it's fixed. All right, so if you're just joining, 1 second, let's actually verify that this was fixed. To be... Well, the problem was fixed, one of our problems. I'm not saying that all of our problems were fixed. Dang it. All right, so our problem We configured a load balancer that all the nodes talk to, and that distributes the work through the different API servers. So we have successfully joined the absolute hardest way a worker node now in Kubernetes. You'll notice this is on 115. If I was on 116 or greater, Git nodes would return the master nodes too. Actually, even on 115, if you started your service using kubeadm or anything that's kubeadm based, your master nodes would be listed here. These aren't. There are 3 masters. Don't worry. We can see how to see those later. But we were having a problem, and our worker node was not joining. And the problem was this single line right here. We didn't have this. And our default was HTTP. So what it was doing was it was trying to respond with HTTP instead of HTTPS, which I guess TCP just tells it to ignore whatever the TCP is. So anyways, that was it. So now we have joined a worker node, the absolute hardest way, to our control plane. Very cool. And it's working through our load balancer, so it's going to, all of its requests are going to be load balanced through our through the load balancer to the control plane. This is helpful if you have one of the control planes that goes down like we did the last time. Actually, we can artificially do it. Let's artificially do it. I really need to put this on my DNS so I don't have to type out its IP address every single time. All right, there's our control plane. Let's take down CP1. It's not stop, it's destroy. All right, it always gets me because destroy makes me think like it's going to remove it, it's going to destroy its disk. Yeah, it sounds very permanent. It makes me cringe every single time. All right, destroy CP1. We have destroyed our control plane 1. We can verify this by trying to SSH to it. cp1.example.com. It will eventually time out. We're not going to let it eventually time out because that would suck. Let's go ahead to CP0. We can run our health check here. I thought, okay, yeah. And you'll notice our health check is hitting our load balancer right there. And it will always return okay because our load balancer is awesome. And it knows which nodes are down. You saw the long pause there. I'm wondering if it thought it hadn't learned that one of them was down. So anyways, we always get okay, and our worker node continues to function because it is also using, it didn't use the domain when I created this. We'll have to update it to be lb0.example.com. And yeah, it will continue to function. And you'll be able to continue to do git nodes, and the node will still exist. Oh, this was on CP1. I shut down CP1 while I was SSH into it. So it's still managed to function, even though one of the nodes went down. If you had hard-coded which node it was hitting, if that node went down, the workers would no longer communicate with the control plane. So anyways, I think that's it for today's Kubernetes the hardest way. Tuesday, what we're going to do is we're going to run, next Tuesday, we're going to actually run a workload on this worker node. Let's actually jump over here, and I'll we're going to run a worker. We're going to join the second one. I'm not going to do all of it. I'm going to do all of the copying files crap, so we're not going to have to do that. The difference that I'm going to do for you all... Whoa. The difference that I'm going to do is this was run using... this was run using... Where is it? Container D. Oh wait, this is provisioning the control plane. I was like, it's not there. We'll use container, not container. We used container D today. We will next Tuesday use CTL to join the second worker. So one will be using a different container runtime, not this one, not this one right here. So we will do that. It will take me a little bit of time because I'm going to have to roll this binary unless I can find it online somewhere. I'm going to have to roll the binary for the correct version for Kubernetes that's there. So that will take me a little bit of work. And then the next thing that we're going to try to do is we'll hit... I said that we were going to run a workload. I'd like to run a workload. The other thing is configuring for remote access, which would be kind of nice and fun. And this is actually important, is provisioning pod network routes. We actually have to do this and this before we can deploy a workload. So if we can run through these two quickly, these are actually pretty quick, and I think that we should be able to. We'll then do the smoke test. So other than that, that is it for today. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that they'd like me to look over? Besides the technical difficulties at the beginning, did you guys like today's better with the... I kind of had a few things more set up. Although there was still a lot of copy and pasting. I apologize about that. Not copy, CPing. I call it copy and paste because I don't know. But yeah. It is. And I actually didn't expect it to run. I was I'm happy that it does. It's a whole bunch of things that all have to work together. And if they don't, there's problems. And this is why it's good to do this. And I haven't ever done it before. And so like, it's good for me because there's a whole bunch of things that can fail, you know, even just down to the load balancer. The load balancer was causing us issues. So, yep. All right. Well, I am actually going to... Yeah, I'm going to get going. I have to do some not fun stuff. So this was my fun time for today.